Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits Podcast. Time to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Clover Club and is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add gin. 2 ounces. 2 ounces of gin. Admittedly, not my favorite, boys and girls. And I'm out of gin. Next, raspberry syrup. 1/2 an ounce. Lemon juice, freshly squeezed from the plastic lemon. 1/2 an ounce. Finally, 1 egg white. To make it healthy. And we shake vigorously. We take our chilled cocktail glass and we strain it in. And then it says to garnish with 3 raspberries. I do not have any raspberries. There you go, the Clover Club. Not bad. Pretty good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
On this week's episode of the Scary Spirits Podcast, Red Clover, we celebrate all things Irish, including St. Patrick's Day and especially leprechauns. But if you're expecting sassy little shoe cobblers, you'll be sorely disappointed this week. We do, however, get the leprechaun gold obsession, but that coincides with a less attractive, more demonic-like appearance. It's not necessarily better, just different. Honestly, I kinda like it. But maybe I am just a bit infatuated with the very beautiful, very Irish main character, aptly named Karen. How could you not love that? Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. Episode 203, Karen. I'm still reading it. Don't have it quite committed to memory yet.
I would think you'd be saying it in your sleep by now.
How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm fantastic.
Ooh. Any particular reason, or we're just going to let you keep that little secret to yourself?
Because I got some thirsty work done here in the Ides of March, Karen. Put on my toque and went out there in the cold and picked up sticks.
Got a little sunshine. Was there sunshine?
There was sunshine,
There
yes.
you go. Matching your personality.
Well, duh. I'm sure everyone out there is saying that to themselves.
I know. All the neighbors were like, Greg's out. Greg's
I
out.
know they're like, shit, he's out there picking up sticks. Now I gotta go do something.
My wife's going to see him picking up sticks, and I'm going to have to pick up sticks.
All right. Karen, was this film your choice?
It was. I would love to say no, but it was my choice.
Tell us, Karen, what film have you chosen?
I have chosen the classic Leprechaun horror film from 2012, Red Clover.
Any reason you chose this film, Karen, other than you wanted to hear your name recited again and again and again and again?
It is lovely, isn't it? I bet you just really dug that part of it. It's a St. Patrick's Day film. What are you shaking your head? It's 100% a St.
I'm not
Patrick's Day
shaking. I'm
film.
just going, yeah, 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 I guess.
I don't know how it could be anything more St. Patrick's Day-y than this.
Well, we'll get into it, I guess, then, Karen. Stay tuned for that, boys and girls.
But this is my St. Patrick's Day offering.
Okay.
I didn't want to do another. I know there are many, many, many Leprechaun sequels, but I just didn't want to do one of those this year. I
You
wanted to go
did
rogue.
something with a different leprechaun, quote unquote leprechaun.
Yeah, it's just, I thought it would be different, and it is different, but
It is. Some of the tried and true themes are there, though, so not completely different. Did you have a cocktail to go along with this film
I
from
did
2012, Karen? You remember 2012?
vividly.
Go
I
on.
have I have the Clover Club cocktail, and it's even red, which is awesome. It's creamy fruity and enjoyed by cocktail enthusiasts for over a century. So suck it. No, just kidding. So you're going to need 1.5 ounces of gin, half an ounce of dry vermouth, half an ounce of lemon juice, half an ounce of raspberry syrup, which I
Did
made
you
from
say one and a
scratch.
half ounces of gin?
Yeah.
I thought I used 2 ounces.
Well, you do you, Greg.
I thought that's what it said. All right, go on.
You interrupted where I had my homemade raspberry syrup. Now they're not going to be as impressed. Half an ounce of raspberry syrup,
Would you
quarter
like to
ounce of
start
egg
over?
white.
Because I will cut all that out if you like.
No, it's fine. And garnish with raspberries, which I did. You're going to add all the ingredients to a cocktail shaker with ice. Shake until chilled and strain. Add the drink back to the tin and shake again without ice. Pour into a chilled cocktail glass and garnish.
So my recipe did call for 2 ounces because yours is different than mine.
Oh, it is.
It is.
It looks the same.
It does. It's
Did
almost the
you?
same except for the 2 ounces. Two
Oh,
ounces of gin, half ounce of the other ingredients.
oh, even the egg white?
1 egg white.
1/4 ounce. You put a whole egg white in there?
Yeah, that's what
Wow.
my instructions said.
Ooh, protein.
I know. I hope I don't get bird flu or anything.
Because mine's half an egg white. I just had the carton because I make the omelets from it.
Hmm. I actually used the old. I saw this on the internet, so I figured, well, it must work. So I put an egg in a measuring cup, like a Pyrex measuring cup thing, and I took an empty plastic bottle,
Oh yeah,
sucked the yolk up, and it worked, Karen.
I know it's awesome.
I was like, oh my God, that is awesome. I wish I would have been filming that.
Oh, you didn't put it on the YouTube channel?
No, I did not.
Which everyone, if you want to see how to make every one of our drinks, they are on our YouTube channel.
So my recipe was from liquor.com.
Mine's better because mine was from parchedaroundtheworld.com.
Oh, mine has an extra half ounce of gin in it.
All right, you win.
So
They're
there you
very
go.
similar, but
Yeah, just half ounce of gin. The only difference.
it's
Well,
tasty.
mine's from liquor.com, so of course it's going to have more gin in it.
Right, of course, as it should.
All right, should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Clover Club cocktail? Do you know where the name came from or anything like that, Karen?
No, it doesn't have anything
All
about it.
right. All right.
Yes, let's.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this St. Patrick's Day classic from 2012?
I do.
Go on, tell us all the story.
Karen is unaware that decades earlier, townspeople banished a bloodthirsty leprechaun to another dimension after a massacre. She accidentally sets the creature free and has to convince her father to help send it away again.
We are a match, Karen, thank you. But is it really a leprechaun? Really?
Yeah,
No, it's not.
they
They even
call it
say
a.
what it is, but whatever.
It's the Gaelic word for leprechaun. That's what it is.
The Green Man.
Well, I think this movie's just a little all over the place. I think they're just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, honestly. But I thought it was a leprechaun. They mention it multiple times, sticking by it.
All right. Then tell us everything you loved about this film you've chosen from 2012. Anything you really liked or were pleasantly surprised by?
The story's okay. It's different. I haven't heard it before, so it wasn't really tropey or anything. There was some interesting lighting in it. Most of the movie isn't lit well, but a couple of scenes, there's green lights or something that are kind of cool. I mean, if I'm searching for something that I can say positive about the film, that's about all I got. I was hoping it was going to be better. When I picked it, I didn't realize it was a TV movie, and you can kind of sense that about it.
I believe it's a sci-fi movie here.
Okay,
Sci-fi,
but
sci-fi
it
channel
felt
movie.
it felt that way, didn't you think? Parts of it were
Mhm.
actually lit and filmed pretty well, and other parts of it weren't. There's more gore than I thought, and the gore, some of it's not bad, really. Some of it's really bad, but other parts of it are surprisingly okay in the gore department. I will say there is one thing that I noticed about it, and I kind of like there was no sexual tension with the lead girl and the leprechaun or the demon or whatever you want to call it, which was a nice omission because usually there's that grossness in there. And
I didn't even think of that, Karen. Wasn't even thinking about that.
but in most
My
movies like
mind never
this,
went there.
that's what you get. So that was kind of nice to see that not included. Do you have anything that you liked about it?
Well, I have a feeling I liked it more than you did already. I found it pretty entertaining. I mean, it is what it is, but it's entertaining,
It
right?
is kind of funny sometimes. I'm not sure I was supposed to laugh, but I did.
I thought the girl played Karen was really good. And then I thought the acting was pretty good all in all. I mean,
Really?
there's at least one famous person in here that I
There's
recognize
two I
from
know of.
other things. Well, I'll get to that. Apparently, there are two famous people in it, but one of them I'm not really that familiar with, though. I liked as you mentioned, the Gaelic leprechaun story there. Like I like that. And you said it felt like a sci-fi TV movie, and it didn't as much. I thought for a sci-fi TV movie, I expect more over the top than this was. It's pretty subdued, actually,
Really? I
when
thought
you
there were a
think
lot
about
of
it.
deaths in it.
Well, no more
Unnecessarily.
than
I mean, it was kind of like, oh, why? Oh, what? And then they'll be like, oh, why'd they kill that person? Like there were a couple like that where you didn't expect him to die.
but they're all very, very quick. The gore is very quick. It's like
It
a quick
is.
shot and gone. It's like a split second you see something and it's gone. You're like, oh, did I see that? I don't know. Is that what I thought it was? I don't know.
Sometimes they revisit a little. There is sequel potential, of course, which is awesome.
And it is a fairly small cast as well. Really. Handful of people that are important.
True.
Anything you did not care for, Karen?
I didn't think the acting was very good,
Didn't.
especially Billy Zane is the dad in it. And
See, he's the one I'm not familiar with his work.
I thought
So
he was terrible. I was distracted by how bad he was in it. His father is also famous. I don't know the name, the
yes.
grandpa in this.
William Devane.
I thought he was good.
Yeah, he's good. He's a very good
I thought he
character
was the
actor.
best one in the whole cast.
Oh, I agree.
by far.
He's a seasoned veteran.
The girl was okay through most of it. The last 10 minutes of it was, I just was not good for me. I would have liked more, as I always say, more lore. More lore, more lore. They do kind of give you a little bit, but would have been better to have more, I think. There's a couple of people who are dead, who are blinking and breathing, but, is there anything you didn't like about it?
I didn't really write anything down, actually.
Oh, Billy Zane, I thought was horrible. And what was with the hat?
I don't know him. I'm not
The
familiar
hat
with
he was
him.
wearing was
I had to look
ridiculous.
him up.
What are those hats called? Were they popular in
The sheriff.
2012? But it wasn't a sheriff's hat. It was like
Like a fedora or something.
yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, there were a couple fedoras in there. They must have been popular in 2012.
Oh, he
But
was in Back to the Future, apparently. And part two.
who?
Billy Zane.
Oh,
I'm looking it up. I don't know where.
he's well known for
know what he's
Titanic.
done. I never saw that. Ooh,
And
he
I
was in
think it was
Tombstone.
and he was in The Mummy too, wasn't he?
I don't know. But he was in Tombstone. He was in Zoolander. I saw him in that. Apparently he played himself.
No, he was in Titanic. He was the bad guy in Titanic.
Yeah, I've never seen Titanic here.
And he was in The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, I think.
I'm not seeing that in his filmography, Karen.
Maybe I'm confusing him with someone else.
He was in The Scorpion King 3.
No, it must be someone who looks like him. That's so funny. It was Arnold Vosloo. Looked a lot like him. I thought it was him.
As usual, I take them for what they are and just go with it, Karen. I roll with it, typically. Unless it's like Plan 9 from outer space or something. I thought it was fine. It was entertaining.
All right. I'm glad you liked it. It's very sci-fi. It's very sci-fi channel. I think you could just kind of feel where the commercials would be.
I didn't get that feeling at all, actually.
This is after. When did the first Leprechaun movie come out?
With Jennifer Aniston,
Yeah.
1993.
It's just there is a funny part where the leprechaun drives the car. And I thought that was a homage to Leprechaun.
Yeah, but again, this isn't a little person leprechaun.
No, it's not, but I just thought it was funny. There were parts of it that I thought were funny. I don't know if they were meant to be funny, but I did find them amusing. It's okay. It's just not a good film, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'd never heard of it, and I'm not mad that I saw it. I just think it could have been better. I think Billy Zane looked to me like he just didn't want to be there. Over the top.
See, I have no preconceived notion of what Billy Zane would do because I don't know who Billy Zane is. But Willing Devane fit right in. I expected him to nail this.
He does the crazy grandpa very well. I just didn't. I thought the girl and the grandpa had a good connection. I didn't think
Yes,
the
Karen.
girl,
Karen the
and
redhead.
Pops. Yeah. And she's beautiful.
She is. She's got dark roots though, Karen.
Oh, did she? I didn't notice. See, very Irish looking.
She is very Irish.
But I didn't feel a connection between her and her dad. She was better with her grandpa, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I initially thought that was her father the first
So did
time
I.
we were introduced to them.
Yeah, I did too. And I think the kids all they're supposed to be teenagers. They all look in their 20s.
As they do.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, as I said, I think I liked it more than you did. What kind of cocktail rating would you like to give it, Karen?
I think it's a 4.
Do you?
Do you think it's a 3?
No, we've done movies a lot better than this that are 3, so we'll give it a 4. That means it took us 4 cocktails to get through it, boys and girls. And it did take me 2 beers, and usually a film takes me 1, so there you go.
It's another one of those, if it comes on, it wouldn't be terrible to watch it.
Yeah, if it comes on the Syfy channel for free.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're paying for the cable or whatever you're doing.
But I'm saying maybe it'll be on somewhere because for St. Patrick's Day, maybe it'll show up. And if you can see it, there's no reason not to. It's just not great, but maybe I was in a mood. Who
I mean,
knows? It's okay.
it's a horror film, Karen, with leprechauns, quote unquote. All right, 4 cocktails. Before we get into it scene by scene, Karen, would you like to hear a review from the time, even from the
Ooh, from the
time,
time. Nice. Of course.
from way back in 2012? And I do have to tell you, Karen, this had a 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb, and from what I could tell, a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Could not find what Google users thought because apparently they didn't think much of it. No one voted. I think there was one vote. I thought about
Review.
adding mine, but did not. The review I have is from Dread Central, dated March 21st, 2012.
Hmm.
And it's pretty long. I'll paraphrase. I'll read about half of it. The first half of well, first I have to tell you that, boys and girls, that this may be known as several different titles. There's the one we watch, which is Red Clover, but then there's also Leprechaun's Revenge, which it is also was also released as. So there you go.
Both in the States, or is there different countries? Like, are they both?
I think so. So the Dread Central from March 21st, 2012 says the first half of Leprechaun's Revenge is played pretty much as a straightforward horror film that wants to be taken seriously. Retreated to some spooky imagery, a monster that is seen sparingly and shot in such a way to make it seem truly nightmarish. Mostly humorless dialogue, and there were certainly more attempts at jump scares than one usually finds in a sci-fi original. It seemed to me as if director Drew Daywalt and writer Anthony C. Ferrante were trying to avoid the typical sci-fi trap of making a monster movie that is one big joke. Then the leprechaun hops behind the wheel of a car and runs down a victim. From this midpoint on, it felt to me as if everyone involved just said, screw it,
I agree.
realizing what they had been trying to pull off up to that point just wasn't working. And from here on out, the dialogue gets punchier, the performance is hammier, the monster more sci-fier, the evil leprechauns are warded off by glowing horseshoes that function like crucifixes to a vampire. When Sheriff Billy Zane begins rambling like a loon to his movie daughter about the events that led to her mother's demise during a Black Friday sale, the
So
movie
weird.
fully enters into comic territory.
Yeah, that's the last 10 minutes where it was just,
It's more than that.
disconnect.
It's more than
Well,
that.
it disconnects.
The tonal shift from a hokey premise struggling to take itself fairly seriously to giving in to the campiness of its premise the moment we witness vehicular lepricide is so sudden and jarring, it was as if the first and second halves were made by different people. And not a moment too soon, I must say, because up to that point, the movie wasn't clicking for me at all, and I was seriously contemplating changing the channel. Some people may tune into Leprechaun's Revenge expecting a new Leprechaun sequel, but rest assured nobody will confuse this Leprechaun with Warwick Davis. No rapping or one-liners, no snazzy Leprechaun suit and hat. This is the most monstrous Leprechaun I think I have ever seen put to film, like if Swamp Thing, and a Chupacabra had a baby. Best of all, it's a man in a suit instead of CGI. It's the sort of monster suit that is best presented under cover of atmospheric darkness, all the more eerie coming at you from the spooky shadows. So naturally, most of its scenes are shot in broad daylight, somewhat undercutting the ghastliness of the suit design. Could you imagine a Pumpkinhead movie that has the monster running amok in the full light of day? Me either. I don't fault the filmmakers here because I know for a fact that Syfy has a policy regarding how much of a movie can take place under cover of darkness, and the production companies that make these movies shoot on such a tight schedule, they just don't have the time to budget to spend lighting too many night scenes.
It did go back and forth too. They'd get in the car and it would be bright out, and then all of a sudden it was dark, or the other way around. But that's low budget filming.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they liked it.
Well, I skipped the middle part of it out, but I mean, he mentions sometimes you just have to embrace the schlock, like I do. Just roll with it. Take it as it is, a B movie, and
Okay, unless it's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or Plan 9 from Outer Space, or
well,
don't always roll with it. Don't try to be
I
that
don't
cool guy.
always, but he does talk about how hard it is for sci-fi filmmakers to, get their way to have the movies that were made and things like that. He seems like he knows a lot. Whoever this was who wrote this Dread Central article.
Okay.
Are you ready to get into it scene by scene, Karen?
Well, before we go into scene by scene, Greg, we have a new format now where it's up to you to tell us what do you got for us next week, Greg?
Karen, the film I have chosen is a Hammer film
Okay.
called Frankenstein Created Woman.
Ooh. Is that their answer to The Bride of Frankenstein?
I don't know,
Or
Karen.
not
We'll
really?
see. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
1967. We'll find out.
Do you have a drink to go with it?
I do, Karen.
Excellent. What is that?
The drink I have is called the Peter Cushing.
Oh, there you go. Is he in this one?
Yes, Karen, he is. He is Dr. Victor Frankenstein.
What are we going to need? Is it his favorite drink or it's just called the Peter
Just
Cushing?
called the Peter Cushing.
All right.
And it's a simple drink to make, so there you go. You're going to need 2 parts dry gin to 1 part ginger wine. Easy
Ginger
peasy.
wine.
Yeah, sure.
Never heard of that.
Ginger wine, ginger wine.
Okay.
Yeah, we shake with ice and strain into a chilled cocktail glass, much like this wonderful
Clover
Clover
Club.
Club we're enjoying this
Does it say
evening.
why it's called that or
No, just in honor of the gentleman and the actor.
okay.
It is made from completely vegetarian ingredients because he was a vegetarian, apparently. If you use whatever gin they want you to use in the recipe. I guess it would be vegetarian, right? Aren't most cocktails vegetarian?
I would think so, but
All
I'm
right.
not well versed.
Well,
So,
there you go. So that'll be next week, boys and girls.
so exciting.
I know you can hardly wait. You're
We
probably thinking
sold
to
it hard.
yourselves, let's just go to that one now, can we?
No, because they have to wait and find out what Karen does with the leprechaun. They are intrigued and interested and waiting to find out.
All about Karen.
Who doesn't want to know about Karen?
I don't know, but we'll hear the name Karen a lot, boys and girls, in the next hour or so.
Geez, I hope they're not playing the drinking game.
Oh, I know, right? That'd be crazy. All right, Karen, are you ready to get into it scene by scene?
Yes, Greg, I am.
All right, did you watch this on Amazon Prime or did you watch this someplace for free?
I paid for it on
I did
Amazon
too. I
Prime.
thought about looking it up on
I
archive
tried
just to
to
see if
find
it
it, but
was
I
there.
I didn't see it, but I was on my phone when I was doing that, so I didn't do a thorough search.
All right. Red Clover, also known as Leprechaun's Revenge from 2012. Apparently it's rated R, but there are no warnings, Karen. Film opens and we have a rhyming poem. And at one point it's mentioned that they stole the luck, but the creature got away or something. I wrote that down because I figured it would come back.
So you tell everyone there's a rhyming poem, but you're not going to tell them what it is.
No, I'm not going to tell them what it is.
Yeah, it's
Are
not,
you?
so no, some Irish people immigrated into the United States and they brought luck with them. So basically they captured a leprechaun, stole his luck, and they were very prosperous because of that.
And then I wrote, we cut to a redheaded girl hunting. And I wrote, with their father, question mark. And I wrote, one of them has a rifle and the other has a flintlock. Who we learn is Grandpa has a flintlock. Who
He
we learn
says,
is Karen has a rifle.
yeah, and he says she's a good shot, and you find out he's superstitious. We learn they're O'Hara's. He's wearing a lucky boar's tooth. They're supposed to be hunting boar,
Hmm,
wild boar.
okay. But Grandpa runs off and the redhead like stops to reload and runs after him calling for Pop, causing pops. And then we
Lots
hear
of
whispers and there's lots of Froggy's fog. And
lots of Froggy's fog. And I said she's very Irish, red hair, green eyes, very pretty. We learn here too that Pops is talking about fairy folk, and he's a believer.
Next thing I wrote is horseshoes.
She comes upon a tree with a lot of horseshoes on it.
Yeah. And we follow the horseshoes down, and then we see a bunch of clover, but there's one red clover, one red four-leaf clover in the middle of this clover patch, apparently. She picks it up and it burns her palm, Karen.
Yeah, but see, I would have picked it too if it was a red clover in the middle of the green. Wouldn't you have picked it? I
Yeah,
totally would have picked it.
duh.
But yeah, it burns her hand. Burns, as you like to say.
Yes, and then we see the ground heaving, and a creature comes up from the ground. The girl shoots it and runs away. Pops finds her. Credits. And right here I wrote The Dark Knight Rises. So I think William Devane must have been in The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, he was. He played the president. The Dark Knight Rises.
We do see the creature briefly with red glowing eyes behind a log.
And then next thing I have is Pops reads Dad the Riot Act, who is sheriff, right? Sheriff Billy Zane.
Yeah, we get the family dynamics. The dad doesn't want the grandfather taking her out hunting. It's dangerous. She's his little girl, but Pops thinks she's, not a little girl anymore and that whole thing. And we see the conflict of the dad who's the sheriff and the grandpa but you can tell the girl loves them both.
And I wrote Pops has a nice car,
He does.
but we'll get to it later. That's all I made a note of this time. Then
A
we come to
1967 Mustang convertible. I think. I'm guessing.
we'll get to it, Karen. I
Okay,
mentioned it
sorry.
several times. Then we see another guy hunting, comes upon a creature and shoots it, but the creature wants his gold tooth. He gone. I don't know how he knows it wants his gold tooth, but
Yeah, because he says, "You want my gold tooth?"
yeah.
And it does. It takes it violently.
So that whole scene I could have done without. That was not needed, but whatever. Then we see Karen telling her father, the sheriff, that something attacked her in the woods. Dad tells her she's got to be careful what she's shooting at.
True.
Didn't know what it was. Then we cut to Happy's Irish Pub, Karen. I believe there's a Haps Irish Pub right here in good old Cincinnati, Karen. But Pops is in there doing shots, apparently. And he's talking about leprechauns. He's done about 8 or 9 by now. And the publican, Karen, I'm using that word again, publican. It's like Reader's Digest, enhance your vocabulary. I've learned that word, so now I have to use it over and over and over again. Publican refuses to serve him if he keeps talking about leprechauns.
Yeah, apparently Pops is a regular there.
Then we cut to Karen in bed, Karen.
Yes, like of course she has to be in her underwear.
Yeah, in her tank top and panties. But the red clover is burnt into her palm. It's kind of blistered and whatnot. She
Yeah,
hears
it
a
looks like
noise and
a blister. Yeah, like 4 leaves blistered into her palm.
she hears a noise and grabs a trophy and goes downstairs to investigate. I think that's what it is, some kind of trophy thing
Yeah, I think her alarm went off.
in her tank top and panties. So she calls her father and tells her she thinks something is in the house.
Tells him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see a shadow behind her.
Going like into her room, and then her dad tells her, "Go in your room, close the door, get under the bed. That's the safest place."
Yeah, and it's already in there, right?
Yeah.
Then we see, like, I think it's herself, only like zombified or something, and it says you're dead, you don't even know it, and then she wakes up and it was a dream.
Yeah.
But she looks at
She's
her palm, and one of the leaves of the clover is broken. It's not a blister, it's like a broken blister now.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. That scene where she's on the other side as the zombie and says, "You're already dead. You don't know." I thought that was very cool. I had high hopes at that point. And then I didn't know for a while, as the blisters were popping on her palm, if they were corresponding to days or deaths. Because at first it kind of was going with deaths, but then the deaths get way out of control. I think it's days, like how many days she has left.
Then we see a girl in a Volkswagen Bug, who we later learn is Amanda, and she is coming to pick up Karen for school, but Karen says, "Yeah, I ain't going. Just decided, go on without me." She explains that she was attacked, but Pop was there to save her or whatever. I don't know. Then we see Karen walking through the streets, and a reporter kind of jumps her, and apparently he's a blogger, Karen, and
Blogging was probably big in 2012, probably new and exciting. She's in town. He also works for the newspaper. So he's trying to get a story from her. I don't know how he knows what happened to her, but he
I don't know.
does.
Maybe Dad called it in on the radio, and he's got a police scanner or
Oh, I
something.
think that's right. I think that's what he says. You're right.
Then he asked her about the Tree of Tears and Jamie Woods and the O'Hara legacy. We get this whole like backstory kind of thing here.
But not really, just sort of.
Very vague.
And I tried to see if Tree of Tears was real. I couldn't find anything. But she is wearing a symbol around her neck, and it's an Irish symbol, and it's in their
Mm-hmm.
house too.
Mm-hmm. Multiple times.
We see it. And it's a Trinity knot. Represents the interconnectedness of the three elements, often interpreted as the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, or the union of mind, body, and spirit, essentially signifying unity and eternity through its interlocking triangle design. It's deeply rooted in ancient Celtic culture. In Christianity, it's used to symbolize the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. For pagans, it can represent the three realms of existence, earth, sea, and sky, or natural forces like air, water, and earth. The interlocking triangles represent the cylindrical nature of life, the flow of time, and the interconnectedness of all things. That's its symbolic meaning. We call it a Celtic knot. It's actually the symbol of our high school because they're the Celts. But
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Hello, boys and girls. Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast. Karen and I really have a great time putting these episodes together. If you enjoy what you hear, please consider taking the time to leave a review wherever you listen. Reviews really help independent podcasts find listeners. The more listeners we have, the easier it is for people to find us. Now, back to the show. So then we cut to a guy fishing, and he's attacked by a creature, and the creature slits his throat. Here you go.
he was wearing a gold necklace, I think.
Then we see Karen sitting on her front porch. She pulls out her MacBook, Karen. I think that's product placement. Searches for red clover. And then we see
She looks up red clover blisters or something like that.
pulls up a web page of Curse of the Red Clover. The yard across from her, the property across from her house, is filled with ornamental grasses, Karen. I don't know what else to call them. It's like
yeah,
a whole yard of
field.
field of ornamental grasses. It's like an ornamental grass farm. But something is over there in the grass, and she goes inside.
Watching her.
Then we cut back to Happy's pub, and Pop is playing darts. Apparently he's hustling people, playing darts. Karen shows up there and shows Pop her burned palm, and Pop talks about ancient curse from Ireland and the luck of the Irish, and does another shot.
She wants answers. He's very vague. She gets frustrated and leaves.
She leaves, and then we see her walking into a doctor's office, the Keening family practice.
Yeah, she just walks in, sees the doctor, gets a blood test, gets the results immediately.
Yeah, and apparently her blood work is not good, Karen.
No.
Seems
Well,
like
one part of it.
Her white blood cell count is elevated, so seems like she's fighting an infection. She thinks she is cursed, and there's talk of goblins and fairy folk. And then we see Karen back on her MacBook searching for Curse of the Red Clover. And I wrote, she's using a browser I don't recognize, Karen. Maybe because it's that Apple browser.
True, but the doctor also insults her grandfather as a crazy old man. Like we get that reinforced multiple times throughout the movie.
And then a boy who I guess we learn later is Dax FaceTimes her. Is that what he's doing?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, he comes up on her computer. Maybe he's Skyping.
I don't know, but apparently we learned that he does her homework for her from time to time.
No, he's going to tell her what her homework is. He has the
I thought
assignment.
he did it. I thought he did it. Okay. I have your
No, I think
homework
it's
assignment.
I have
All
your
right.
you missed school today. I have your assignments, your
Got
homework.
it. Got it. That makes more sense. Because Karen doesn't seem like the type to make someone else do her homework.
Parents don't need people to do their homework.
So then, as Karen is FaceTiming Dax, she sees something behind him in his closet, but it turns out to be nothing.
Well, it's behind her when she turns around. Well, it's a jump scare. But she's starting to either it's there and disappears or she's starting to see things. I can't, tell at this point.
Then we see a banner in the town that says it's one more day to St. Patrick's Day, Karen. One more day.
We got a countdown of banners. They had a 3, a 2, and a 1.
And we cut to Dad making waffles. Sheriff Billy Zane making waffles. And he butters her waffle and he's putting his hands all over his her waffle.
And he's putting way too much butter on it.
Oh no, you can never have too much butter, Karen. It's probably margarine anyway. And he asks her about what she saw in the woods. She tells him about the creature she shot.
I think
And
she tells him about how it stood up and had goat feet, right? She doesn't really see it. Came out of the ground, looks like one of those old drawings with goat feet. And then he tells her someone's missing out in the woods and tells her to not go in the woods and come straight home from school.
yeah, someone went missing in the woods yesterday, and then Dad has to go check it out. And then she looks at her palm, and 2 of the clover leaves have now bursts or whatever. So then we see Karen sitting on the front step again, sketching. Then I wrote, she begins spirit writing. Is that what she's doing here?
Looks like she has a seizure, but yeah.
And I wrote, it's obviously filmed in reverse. It's weird what they did here. Then the Volkswagen bug girl Amanda pulls up to take her to school. Dax is in the car as well. And Amanda, who we learn is the St. Patrick's Day Queen, asks Karen to help decorate the float that evening. Karen kind of freaks out, and then she gets out of the car, and Dax pulls out her yellow notepad and sees the sketch she made on it.
Well, she sees the 2 of them, their faces disappear. They turn around to look at her. Their faces are gone. Almost looks like burlap sacks over their faces or something. And she flips out, let me out, let me out. They let her out of the car, and then he finds her drawing.
Then Officer Jane, and she's related to them somehow. Is she Dad's sister? Is she her aunt, Karen's aunt?
No, she's Dax's sister.
Dax's sister. Okay. Dax's sister, Officer Jane, comes and finds him. Mom is worried. She has been trying to call him.
Yeah, he had his phone on mute.
He's reading a book about goblins and mischief makers for Karen. Then Officer Jen out in the woods. I believe she pulls her .38 pistol as she's walking around the woods and
She has to go check out that there's somebody missing.
missing person.
And she says he's probably just drunk again. I guess there are a lot of drunk people there.
She leaves, and Officer Jen then finds an abandoned vehicle. Then we see her walking through the woods. Again, pulls her .38. She finds something, and she gets the sheriff right away. Goes to get the sheriff right away, or calls him, or whatever. Cut to Dax and Karen on the front porch. He shows her the pad of paper with the drawing she drew. She does not remember it, but there's letters and shit all around it, and Dax has figured out that it's Gaelic for leprechaun. And Dax has a book from the library with a picture identical to the one Karen drew on the pad.
Yeah, it's not your mom's leprechaun, basically. It's not the little leprechauns we learned about. This is different.
No, but did they call it the Green Man yet?
Not yet.
All right.
They call it a leprechaun here.
All right. Then Karen sends the picture of a picture of the drawing to her father. And I wrote, they got really old cell phones. They're even using like flip phones. Way back in 2012, Karen. And then we see Officer Jen vomiting. Sheriff O'Hara tells her to get in the car. And somehow she recognizes the victim question mark.
Yeah, because there's not much left.
There's not. There's just a footprint of like a hooved
And
creature
there's guts all over the
that
place.
walked on 2
basically.
legs, apparently. So then the sheriff pulls his .357. Looks like a .357 Magnum to me, Karen. And then he sees a leprechaun. Cut to the doctor we saw earlier. He's getting ready to leave his office. The door is ajar. And I wrote, he's walking down a hallway, and there are prints on the wall that look just like the Shining carpeting. You know the movie The Shining, the
Oh,
carpeting in the
yeah, I did
Overlook
notice the prints,
Hotel.
but I didn't connect it.
Looks just like The
Picture
Shining.
prints. Yeah.
Doctor opens the door. Leprechaun chases him inside. He gets in the elevator and presses one, question mark. What's he doing? He's pressing one. He pressed one like 3 times.
And he's on one.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
on one. But whatever. Next thing I wrote, he gone.
Yeah, it's just a little disjointed. Like, why is he killing the doctor? I mean, is he just randomly killing people? But did he have gold on him? Usually you see what they're after, the gold tooth, the gold necklace. I didn't
Did
see
not
anything for
notice.
this guy.
Did not notice.
And then it was just wine they threw on the elevator wall for sure. Like
It
it
was a
was
real
not,
quick shot. I mean,
but
we
there
didn't
was a
see
lot of
anything.
blood. It's like an explosion of blood a lot of
But you don't
times in
see
this.
anything. It's all,
No,
everything happens off screen for the most part.
we see the aftermath sometimes.
So then we see Pops stealing a horseshoe from Happy's Irish pub.
Oh, wait, sorry. The doctor's cufflinks were gone.
Oh, yeah, his gold cufflinks.
Yes,
Right.
sorry. I was wrong. He did have gold.
Yeah, police investigating the doctor's death. Carl the blogger is there, and there's a Sharknado reference right here too, Karen.
Yeah.
We cut to like, oh, did they talk about 1847 or some shit, and people were murdered and gold was taken from them, and
Yeah,
Leprechaun
she
uses
says, is it
gold.
a copycat? And Carl, the reporter, talks about the leprechaun eats gold to get stronger, and she kicks him out.
Heals himself and gets stronger by eating gold. Back at Happy's Irish pub, the publican is taking out the garbage.
And we get a nice close-up shot of his pinky ring or something and the gold watch he's wearing on his arm, on his hand.
Well, I paid more attention to the painting on the wall that said Happy's since 1965.
Aw.
Then the publican's arm is severed when he throws the bag into the dumpster. He gone. So I guess going for his gold watch and ring or whatever. Then we're at the Keening Courier office. Karen goes to see Dax. And right here I wrote metaphors and similes.
She makes fun of something he says, and he says, leave my metaphors alone. And she's like, they're similes.
Then Karen thinks she shot a leprechaun.
She's telling this to Carl.
Yeah, she shows him the drawing and the scar on her palm of the clover. He knows it's the curse of the red clover. And apparently she has to face the leprechaun by herself. Apparently he knows all about it, Karen.
He gets really excited.
Then Dex steals an inkwell, question mark, I wrote.
No, that's Carl.
Dax, or is it Carl?
It's Carl because
Oh, it's
he's
Carl.
gonna,
Yeah, it is Carl.
because he says at this point he grabs the gold. It's not real gold, but whatever. He grabs it and he's going to take it in the woods to draw the leprechaun in. And he says, I'm going to win a Pulitzer. He says that.
He does.
So,
Are you going to tell us about the Pulitzer, Karen?
yeah, there's Pulitzer Prizes. There's 23 annual awards are given by Columbia University in New York for achievements in the United States in journalism, arts, and letters. They were established in 1917 by the will of Joseph Pulitzer, who made his fortune as a newspaper publisher. I could tell you the categories. There are 3 finalist names for each category. They're like public service, poetry, music, national reporting, local reporting, investigative reporting. There's 23 categories.
And
But
they,
each
they award
winner,
23 every year, Pulitzer Prizes.
yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Each winner receives a certificate and $15,000 in cash, unless you win it in public service, and then you get a gold medal.
Okay.
I don't know how big the gold medal is. I don't know if it's worth more than $15,000 or not. But he goes out thinking he's going to win a Pulitzer. And I said, it's a risky move
Yeah, Carl in the woods with an inkwell. He's
with a gold feather sticking out of it.
trying to lure the leprechaun.
I think it's almost like an award or something. It's not an actual inkwell, but
Leprechaun gets in the car and runs over Carl. Takes the gold. Then we cut to Amanda, the St. Patrick's Day Queen, making her float. And Mother brings her some lucky object, question mark. It's like in a box.
It's a family heirloom. It's lucky, but she doesn't want to wear it, whatever it is. We don't see it.
Then Karen arrives and apologizes to Amanda for being weird that morning. Then Mom comes up and be's weird and puts a crown on Amanda's head, and Amanda pardons Karen
But
as
she says
as
the
the queen.
tiara, yes. The tiara is lined with gold, the mom says.
Then Karen lets Dax walk her home, Karen. Then we cut to Pops. He's looking at old floorboards I wrote. Is the
Yeah,
horseshoe
I
thing?
think the horseshoe is missing because he swears, but we never find out what that was. At
No, we
least
don't.
I didn't connect it to
I didn't
anything
either. So then Karen and Dax are walking home, and Dax admits he has had a crush on her since fifth grade, Karen.
since she beat up someone who was picking on him.
Then we see the creature behind them. They run away. Dax trips. Karen pulls a horseshoe. Pop arrives in what appears to be, I wrote, a 1966 to 1969 Mustang convertible? Question mark. I wasn't sure.
It's a 67.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
And then we see Pop's telling Karen and Dax the legend of the Leprechaun.
The vermin of all fairy folk, he says,
They brought him over from the old country, drained the luck out of him, and Karen's great 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 grandfather was hired to hunt it down.
which he did.
Red clover bloomed after a fire. You got to collect four horseshoes. They have two of them. They are like crucifixes to a vampire. They say one is at the brewery and one is at the spot of the fire, but the one at the fire has gone missing. I guess that's where Pops
Oh,
was
that's probably
earlier.
where he was. Yeah.
And we learned that Pops has a tooth, leprechaun tooth is what he wears around his neck.
Yes. It's not a lucky boar's tooth. Karen says, that's not a boar's tooth, is it?
Then we see Sheriff Billy Zane and Officer Jen investigating the dumpster, and they find green blood.
And Officer Jen does mention that she emailed the Boston College of Zoology about the footprints, and there's no match in the
Nope, no
database.
such hoof in the database.
Yes.
And then the sheriff finds a gold coin with a bite taken out of it.
Yes.
Then we see kids breaking into Amanda and two boys. I don't know who the boys were, but they're going into the old Silver Shamrock. Apparently, that's the brewery.
Yes. Where one of the horseshoes is.
And apparently, Amanda wants to do something fun.
Yeah,
Not sure what she's referring to,
she
Karen.
makes a and she says, I thought we were going to do something fun with me.
Then Pops is pulled over by his son, Sheriff Billy Zane. He questions Pop. Pop says he's going to the brewery, gives his son his gun, his flintlock. Sheriff wants to know what a leprechaun is doing in town. We learned Karen released it accidentally. She is now cursed. She has 2 days. 2 days. That backs up your theory, Karen. They have to find the leprechaun and bury it by then.
They all seem so calm about. He's like, "Oh, okay, she's got 2 days or she's going to be dead. All right. Let's just go about my daily business."
So next we have Dax and Karen looking up information about the Green Man. And but there's lots of pages in a book about the Green Man. He skips like whole like chapters full of
To find the picture.
pages to find these pictures of the Green Man.
But he says they're named the same thing in Irish folklore. So it's called the Green Man, but it also means the leprechaun.
Well, the Green Man's a symbolic figure with a face covered in foliage, Karen, often with branches sprouting from its mouth.
I
That
know,
does
but
not sound like a leprechaun to me.
I don't think that that's what it is in this.
It's a symbol of rebirth in the springtime and seasonal renewal.
But I don't
And,
think
of
it
course,
means that in
fertility.
this. Of course.
It's springtime.
That's why I think they're different. But anyway,
Then Amanda and the boys find some beer.
with gold
Yes.
flecks in it. It was special beer for the parade.
I wrote Amanda not impressed. Leprechaun kills the boys. Amanda runs away. And I wrote very dark, very dark. It was like my screen was black there for a while.
Hmm.
So then we see Pops and the sheriff in the squad car. Pops scolds the sheriff for not knowing his family history. You can't kill fairy folk. He says they are immortal. They have to find the four horseshoes and put them together in an ancient configuration.
Okay, so let's just stop here about I have a little bit about horseshoes and why they're considered lucky. So here's as good a place as any to throw it in here. A horseshoe is considered lucky because of ancient beliefs that its crescent shape represented the moon, symbolizing fertility and good fortune. Lots of things. There's a lot of
Fertility.
fertility.
Oh yeah, it's
While
spring.
the material iron was thought to ward off evil spirits and protect against misfortune, particularly in Celtic and European cultures. This led to the tradition of hanging horseshoes over doorways to guard against negativity. Iron was believed to repel evil spirits and malevolent forces, making horseshoes primarily made of iron a protective talisman. The practice of hanging a horseshoe over a door with the open end facing upwards is thought to capture and retain good luck. There are two different, so putting it upwards captures the good luck. Putting it downwards, some people think all the luck spills out, but other people think it signifies that the luck is spilling out because of the open end faces downward, suggesting that the good fortune is being distributed to those below it. So there are two different ways to hang your horseshoe, whatever you want to believe it. Maybe you can store it up, then turn it down, take all that good luck, turn it back up.
So then we see Dax and Karen. Karen in her tank top talking about her womanhood. Question mark, I wrote.
They're getting a little closer, getting a little love connection. And she does kiss him.
I wrote Dax and Karen share a moment. She kisses him. He says wood.
Yeah, it was funny. But he has to go out and get a piece
And
of
he
a
realizes
staff.
they need a branch for the horseshoes for the ancient configuration. And then we see Pops and the sheriff reminiscing about when he was 8 and they went leprechaun hunting. I
But
wrote
they
they
never found one back in the day.
no, but I wrote they right here. I wrote they debate Karen and Pops sees a leprechaun in the house.
Yeah, because Sheriff Billy Zane says, I was kind of disappointed we never found one. And he goes, well, Merry Christmas. There's one in here or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, they're arguing about Karen is what they're doing. Then we see Karen washing her face in the kitchen sink, Karen. And vision of leprechaun in the kitchen, I wrote.
She gets some water out of the refrigerator. They use the old open the refrigerator door, get something out of the refrigerator, and when you close the door, something is there. So the leprechaun is there. But she's seeing things at this point.
Pops and Sheriff walking through their house, gun drawn.
No, they're at
Uh,
the brewery.
oh, already the brewery, but there's horseshoes. They find the body, they find the two bodies of the boys, I guess.
Hmm.
There's a gold coin and the leprechaun eats it.
Well, they find the body. Yeah, so the Sheriff Billy Zane throws the coin at it and it eats it because he knows he's proving to his father he knows the lore.
And they investigate the brewery, I guess, and Amanda's crying and she screams at the sheriff.
When he finds her, she screams.
Yeah, she screams.
Yeah, but then he takes her out, and then there's the crime scene. There's the tape and the police cars, and Amanda's mom is there. And
And sheriff tells Officer Jen that he saw a leprechaun in the building. Dax enters with a piece of oak because the staff has to be made of it, so he's got an oak branch. Sheriff Billy Zane follows, followed by Pop.
well, so Karen's upset. Dax says, "You're gonna be all right. You're not in this alone." And then her dad comes in and says, "No, you're not." And then Pops comes in behind him and says, "No, you're not." It's like a family moment.
And there's a shot of the house. I wrote it's a nice house. Nice
Yeah.
house. I'd live in that house. So then they're putting the horseshoes together in the proper ancient configuration, but they're still missing the fourth one. Karen knows where the fourth horseshoe is, though. It's on the St. Patrick's Day float.
Because her grandfather says, don't fear the wind if your haystacks are tied down, which was the same thing that Amanda's mom said to her when she was holding the horseshoe. So Karen says, I know where it is. And they all go, they need to go to the parade.
Then we cut to Amanda asking her mom for the lucky horseshoe, whatever. She gives it to her. Amanda climbs up on her float and places the horseshoe in a prominent place above her throne. Then they pull the float out and mom is killed by the leprechaun. She gone.
Well, it's fun because Amanda says, bye, mom. And then the last shot of mom is mom with these big honking gold earrings on. I said, oh, mom's gone. And she was right after that.
She gone. The sheriff pops in a Jeep. Dax and Karen as well in the back. Pull up to crime scene tape. They find the body of Amanda's mother and the horseshoe is missing. Next I wrote parade, Shriners, Jerusalem.
Always the Shriners.
They're the Jerusalem Shriners.
But they were on their motorcycles, not
they're
their
not
mini
the
cars.
Syrian Shriners. And I meant to look up where the Jerusalem Shriners are based.
Are they still in parades?
Yeah.
They were always in parades.
Yeah. Louisiana. So there you go. Jerusalem Shriners.
Is that where this is set?
Yeah, because their Jerusalem Shriners are in the parade. Louisiana. Just like the Syrian Shriners are here. Then we see Amanda on her float with a big paper mache Clover behind her. Leprechaun jumps up and hits her in the head. She starts bleeding. I think she's gone.
Yeah, she's dead. Which I was surprised. This is like when it's getting like, oh, they're just killing everyone.
Horseshoe starts going red. And then Officer Jen has her heart ripped out? Question mark.
I think it's her guts. It's her intestine.
She's gone regardless.
I was bummed by and they just fall on the ground in a big plop. It's like, aw, I didn't want her to die too.
No, I liked Amanda and Officer Jen. Probably Officer Jen more, though. Then Karen grabs the horseshoe and people run for their lives. We see a guy in a raccoon. What is he wearing? A raccoon costume or what's he wearing?
It's a leprechaun costume.
Oh, a guy in a leprechaun costume relieving himself.
In the alley.
Yeah. Leprechaun kills him and takes his gold. Karen fights with the leprechaun. Horseshoe starts glowing green. Dax arrives and helps her. Here's what I wrote next, Karen. What's his face is dead.
That was so mean of the grandfather.
Yeah, that's what he said. Leprechaun is stunned. Pop drags him away, puts it in the trunk of the Mustang with the horseshoes question mark.
Yeah, it's glowing green. I have glowing green sack of leprechaun thrown in the back of the car.
And then we see the sheriff putting out like an APB for a 67 Mustang, Karen. Is that what we see here? 1967. That's where we learn what year it is.
Yeah.
That was close. 66, 69, 67. Karen, what do you think that vehicle went for brand new? 1967 Mustang convertible, MSRP.
Back then?
Yeah, 1967. What did you buy that car brand new for off the showroom floor?
$3,000.
Wow, that's pretty good, Karen. 2,814.
Well, mine's fancy.
Yeah, you have the 8-track.
Yeah, I have
you have the AM FM.
Yeah.
Right, what do you think one of those goes for today, Karen? Give me a price and I'll tell you what
whether I get a nice one or not.
whether you're getting a nice one or not.
30,000.
Average low 26,900. You got a low one, Karen.
Yeah, well,
What do you think a really nice one would go for?
53.
An average price 52.4.
Oh.
On the high end, they can go for $81,000.
What are those ones that grandma drove it to church only or something? Like,
Yeah, only on Sundays. Never even played the radio. $81,000. Then we see Pops dragging the body out into the woods with the horseshoes. And I wrote, everything has a green hue. And the next thing I have is Leprechaun gets away, question mark?
yeah, he's not in the bag anymore, which I thought he couldn't do because he was underneath the horseshoes, but he got away.
So then the sheriff and Karen arrive. Sheriff tells her he is proud of her, and they share a moment. Father-daughter moment. We learn that Karen's mother died on Black Friday.
So this was so weird because, yeah, you could, before we go into this, I'm really proud of you. You're not a little girl anymore, but you'll always be my baby. Cool. But then she goes, Dad, I want to know what happened to Mom. Like, I'm thinking, why now? Like, what?
And why doesn't she know by now? Whatever.
I don't know. And then he goes into this long thing about he lost her on Black Friday and was never able to find her again. And it was because they were trying to get her game console below retail cost, and it was a really good deal. Like he really goes long into this, paged her every day. I guess and now he's having a confidence crisis. I'm a terrible husband. I'm a terrible father. If anyone should be dead, it's me. And right at that moment, I said, this part is stupid. And then right when he says, if anyone should be dead, it's me.
And there's something about his name tag too. His name is
Oh,
misspelled on his sheriff name tag or something.
yeah, it was just weird all around.
This is about the point where they said, screw it. Fuck it. Then Leprechaun grabs him from under the vehicle. He gone, and he ends up being like basically cut in two.
Yeah.
Then we see Karen
But I
walking.
laughed when he came up and got him, right? When if anyone should be dead, it should be me. Bam. And I laughed. And I said, I don't think I should have laughed at that.
Then we see Karen walking past a sign that says no hunting, and she grabs a big stick. Then we see Karen in the woods, green hue and Froggy's fog. Leprechaun jumps her, they fight. Pops is there too. Leprechaun runs away. Pops is hurt.
He's in trouble. Yeah.
Karen tells Pops that Sheriff Billy Zane is gone, but there's a gold refinery right down the road, and she has to get him before he gets there.
Yeah. Because if he gets there, he'll heal himself. But Pops gives her the tooth for good luck.
And then he gone. Then we see Karen in her tank top, I wrote, grabs a bunch of ammo and gets it in the Jeep and drives over her father.
I said, the funny part was, I said, oh, she's going to drive over her dad. And then she actually did.
She did.
Yeah. So she seemed more upset over Pop dying than anyone else in the movie. She actually cried. She didn't cry when her dad died, but she cried when Pops did.
And then I wrote, she runs over a boar. There's a boar.
No,
Like a
that's the
boar.
leprechaun.
Well, it looks like a boar for a split second. And there's a leprechaun on the roof of the Jeep. She drives away. He claws his way into the fabric roof. And Karen stabs him with the horseshoes, question mark, I wrote.
Yeah.
Motor stalls on the Jeep, which never happens. She gets out and shoots the leprechaun with her flintlock. She takes the oak staff with 4 horseshoes and whacks him in the chest with it. Then her clover wound heals, leprechaun gone.
The end.
Now, next we have Karen burying him in
Oh,
her
that's
tank
true.
top.
Yes, I forgot that part.
Credits, the end.
She's lost everyone. The town is still lots of people there, but her whole family and all her friends are gone.
Dax die?
Yeah, in the alley.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What's his name is dead. Or whatever.
That's right. All right, Karen, what'd you think of the Clover Club cocktail?
I liked it.
Mine has evaporated.
I will admit I put more lemon and more raspberry syrup in mine than it called for. So, but I liked it.
Well, I put more of everything than what yours called for, so there
Mine
you
was
go.
the petite. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I know you're not a big gin person, so
No, I'm not. And now I'm out. So I have to buy more because in our next cocktail, 2 parts gin and 1 part ginger wine. Anything we learned today, Karen?
we learned about the 1967 Mustang. We learned about the Green Man. Those are 2 things that you did. We learned about horseshoes, how to hang them up over your door, the Celtic knot, specifically the Trinity knot. That's the one that was in the house and around her neck, and the Pulitzer Prize.
All right. I'm going to remind everybody once again that next week we're going to be doing Frankenstein Created Woman from 1967, starring Peter Cushing
Awesome.
and Susan Denberg.
Is she a hammer glamour girl?
She is a hammer glamour girl, Karen.
Oh, wonderful.
And we're going to have a Peter Cushing cocktail. 2 parts dry gin, 1 part ginger wine. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I need to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We really appreciate when you spend time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I'm going to once again thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
Music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.